It is 10 a.m. on a Saturday. You know what that means? Well, if you're on Patreon, you're thinking, no, it's Friday afternoon. But if you're watching on YouTube, that means it's time for Robo's Weekly Rewind. That's what I'm going with. As you can see, renovations. There's a lot still in the air, some things I'm testing. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of the same, just with different flavor. You know, we've been sitting at a picnic for a while now. I've been serving up hot dogs and hamburgers, but there's only been ketchup and mustard. And we ran out of ketchup. So I went to the store, all they had was mayonnaise. So I grabbed that, brought that back, that's where we are. It's exactly like that. Kinda. But no, it's the Weekly Rewind because I'm going back and talking about some of the things that caught my eye over the past 7 days. It's not comprehensive. I've never claimed to be a professional news journalist. It's just things that are near and dear, the things I collect that I want to talk about, or something that just flashed across my social media, my screen at some point, and I went, oh, that's pretty. I may not buy it, but I like talking about it. And I know a lot of you know that's the deal, but some of you don't, or you may be new because new channel, new background, new name. That's about it, really. Mayonnaise. I know I'll get it into edits and be like, oh, why did I do that? Or that? Or I could do this. And I'll be playing for the rest of the afternoon. Or somebody will comment on this first episode and go, hey, dummy, why didn't you do that? And I'll be like, God, that's brilliant. Why didn't I think of that? Because I'm not really that creative. I just open my mouth and, but that's how we grow. That's how we evolve. There's nothing wrong with that. And you know what else there's nothing wrong with? Talking about toys. Ramen Toy revealed their 80s Commanders antagonist scientist this week, and I'm in. No hesitation whatsoever. No thought process. No, I'm in. That's it. But Robo, you should stop and ponder your purchase. Nope. I'm in. Where do I place my money for this pre-order? It's not quite that ready, but just look at this thing. Come on. The craziest thing about this, it's one of those properties that elbowed its way back into my brain pan this year. I remember Centurions. Kinda. I think there's more commercials in here than episodes. But when I snagged the antagonist cyborg over the summer, it was like a flash of just... It was a rewind. It's working better and better every minute. But yeah, once I had it in my hand, it was like, oh, I had this. And the ground Centurion, Dirt Buddy Stone Boulder, or whatever his name was. I know it was ground related. And then my brother had the Air Centurion, and he had this. Hidden Nostalgia unlocked. Oh, so good. So yeah, I'm on the hunt down after this. I'm hungry like the wolf. I need more 80s Commanders. Ace also posted an update for the Marshall, and it looks like 2024 is going to be a good year for fans of Bravestar. I have even less connection here, except for one thing. That gun. I did have the full-size one. I guess it came by itself. It was a laser tag type deal, if I remember right. It had that bottom cartridge with the lens on the front, and then the top, and it always felt awesome because of the weight on top and bottom. It was more of a apparatus than it was a gun, you know what I mean? And I seem to remember the name Bravestar back then, but maybe that was on the package of that gun when we got it? I'm saying all this right now, December 2023. Maybe at some future time, it'll be like, click. Oh, I do remember that. In a toy box, towards the back, buried under some He-Man or some Transformers, or Star Wars, something, but at the moment, no, there's nothing like that in here. Of course, this is usually a jumbled mess, so you never know. 'Tis the season, so NECA has started posting their 12 days of downloads. A whole lot of what we've already seen. They're just checklists of what's released in each property, but there are a couple of little newish type things to gander. For classic monsters, there's Crypt Club, a Loot Crate top release line based on the old Burger King Kids Meals toys. Veebs told me all that because I don't remember going to Burger King a lot when I was a kid. We were a McDonald's family. If you got straight A's on your report card, you got to go get a burger and fries, and a cinnamon Danish. Do they serve those anymore? I don't think so. He also told me that they've already shown the Frankenstein's monster, but I don't remember that either. Because again, I'm not invested in this line. I just like seeing pretty plastic, and you put it in translucent material, then it's neat. I do think there are a couple of newly sculpted pieces, or pieces that I'm not familiar with, maybe Dracula's head, but man, look at the creature. In that green, just poof. To me, these are just neat. But if you're a fan of clear plastic, universal monsters, and or the nostalgia of kids' meals, there you go. I also had to rely on Veeves to point out some of the newish things when it comes to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic checklist. I know the mainstays. I know the A-listers. So when I look at this, I just think, God dang, that is a whole lot of TMNT goodness. It's really just the Foot Enforcer in classic colors and then the Last Ronin Fugitoid accessory pack. Those are cool, but I'm using this as an excuse to scroll down to the Stomp Wrestler Turtles. These were revealed back at San Diego Comic-Con, but I don't mind at all looking at them again. Doesn't hurt my feelings. I need this set. So much so that I skipped the last Mirage set, and I really like those. I guess there's something to be said about a different look for the Turtles instead of just buying the Four Brothers yet again, you know? Well, I say that. There's been a lot of variants, hasn't there? From different lines, different companies, different sources. How about these never being made before, as far as I know? I think this is the first time we're seeing these looks. But it's all crazy because I either read more of the Archie TMNT comics than I think I did, or I was always seeing that black costume Raph on the covers when I was going to buy my X-Men and my X-Men. I got a lot of X-Men comics back in the day. So yeah, like I said, I'm not buying a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles these days. I have most of what I need, what I desire. But these are the top of the list because, oh, desire. It's not just desire, it's desire. It's been a while since we've talked about the Sentinel fighting armor line. The basic premise is Marvel characters encased in suits of fighting armor. That's in the title. I don't know why I felt the need to explain that. This go around, it's Magneto, which is interesting because his whole power set revolves around metal. Not to mention, a key element of his costume is already a helmet. So, I mean, he was already halfway there. The thing about this line is that each release has quite a bit of reuse, and it's no different here, but it seems like they do a good job of adding new parts that are very character specific to change things up. I mean, it's mostly the bodysuit. You can see the details on the musculature and everything underneath, but you get to the gauntlets and the boots and the shoulder pads and the chest, and then again, especially the helmet. It's definitely Magneto. The reds and the purples do a lot to drive that point home, but even flipping it to grayscale, there's no denying. That is Magneto. Am I saying Magneto too much? I feel like I am, to the point where I hear myself say Magneto and it sounds wrong. And that's doubly so because I didn't know you were supposed to pronounce it Magneto until the live action movies. And that was over half my lifetime where I just read it and said Magneto in my head, you know? So it was like a, what? What'd they just say? Who are they talking about? Magneto? Is he Neato? I grew up backwoods Arkansas. Nobody said Magneto out loud. It was just in my comic books, you know? But somehow I could pronounce adamantium with no problem. The one that tripped me up and still does to this day is Paladin. Nope, Paladin. See, I did it backwards. That was not a gag. It wasn't a joke. That's how my brain interprets that word to come out of my mouth. Oh, but coming back around to Magneto, kinda. Does anybody else type it Magento every now and then? I sure as hell am not gonna make fun of anybody on the internet. When I see it like that, I'm like, I got you, bud. I got you. Anyway, where were we? Oh, toys. Comes with a couple of effects that accessorize this character perfectly. It's simply concentric circles with a rough edge, but what better way to have Magneto showing his power in plastic form? I feel like this pick is unfair though. Whoever's in charge here sent a dude with a metal skeleton wearing a suit of metal armor against the Master of Magnetism, who is also wearing a suit of armor. That seems a little bit unfair. Somebody has a grudge against Logan. It's like, hey, Logan, go take out Magneto. It's like a double whammy. He never had a chance. Did I not say that we would see the Kyoto Amazing Yamaguchi My Hero Academia Shigaraki at a con very soon, followed by solicitation pictures and pre-orders? Granted, I thought it would take longer than a week, but hey, my prediction still came true. Prediction. I just said what usually happens when it comes to Amazing Yamaguchi. We went from this last week to this over the weekend, and then this a couple of days ago. And this looks good. If you remember from the last time we talked about this, my preference is his first look. The black baggy bodysuit with the hands of his relatives grasping him in places. Seeing the new pretty promotional pictures of Season 6 Shigaraki doesn't really change my mind. Like I said, it looks good. There's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't seem as out there, maybe. I mean, this is ripped guy in black pants, short cape. Maybe because that look is more familiar to me than this. Like I said, I'm behind on the show. I need to catch up. I know. I will say I'm thankful for the photo spread because I had forgotten that we're getting an Amazing Yamaguchi Aizawa, even though that was announced in September. That was just a couple months ago. Like I said, all jumbled. Another thing Kyoto tends to do is have some new reveals whenever they show that prototype of the revealed figure. Is that right? Did I sentence? Anyway, Shigaraki showing at the show also came along with Dabi. I remember this Dabi, but apparently he was later revealed to be Todoroki's brother whenever he washed the black out of his hair and there was white underneath. So maybe that will be an alternate head for this. Or maybe a hairpiece. Something swappable. Amazing Yamaguchi does like their accessories. But if it doesn't have that, it's gonna have a whole lot of blue flame. That'll be neat. But then they return to the main cast, the A-listers of My Hero Academia, and they're showing Uraraka. We've seen her a few times from different companies, but this is Revoltech. Even with those big clunky boots, I expect this to be way more articulated than those other offerings. And that's not a bad thing. Oh, and she has that power effect. Like I said, accessories. She's gonna be throwing some stuff, and then probably alternate head, faces. Who knows? Sticking with Amazing Yamaguchi, Kyoto also released promo pictures for their Arkham Knight Batman. We already knew this was going to be a beast because we saw that initial reveal with the big chunky arms, but like I said then, that fits the character. That's how he is in the games, just a brick wall of Batman, a Batman brick wall. But I think I also said that the agility is going to be unreal, especially for a character this thick. It kind of defies imagination. I mean, it's like, oh, yeah, you're big, but good lord, can you do that? How? How? Revoltech, that's how. That sounded very commercial. Revoltech. It's in the game? Revoltech, that's how. There's a science to it. You gotta get the correct angles, and if you're off a little bit, it becomes a gappy mess. But still, it has the ability to do these things. Some people hate it, some people love it, but I think we can all agree that this coming with a cloth cape is brilliant, is the best thing happening. There's no other way to do this, is there? Nope. No other way to do capes in Amazing Yamaguchi whatsoever. None. That's a lie. I have genuinely had comments saying, you just don't know how to use it. The segmented torture device, portal to hell capes that they used to put on Batman is great. You can get all this and this. Nope. Sorry, you're wrong. Just look at it. Does that seem fun? No. That's more like somebody sneaking up behind you and hitting you over the head with a glass bottle and it shatters and falls all over the ground, and then they make you try to put it back together in your bloody blunt force trauma state. No. Not fun. If you like this, you can't be my friend. But this has the power to make us besties. Bring, bring. Oh, hello? Hey, what are you doing? Oh, you're looking at the cloth cape on the Amazing Yamaguchi Arkham Knight Batman 2? Isn't that thing just divine? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'll talk to you later. No, you hang up first. You hang up first. You dang kids still on the phone? Well, get off the line. I'm expecting a call. But I think my favorite thing about this are the gadgets, because that is such an essential part of the gameplay. Of course, there's the regular Batarang and then the remote control Batarang. The line launcher has a couple of plug-in pieces and then hook lines to plug into those. But my favorite has to be the sequencer, because it comes with several projection screens for different tasks. That's just nifty because it's so memorable, and the options available. This will set off a diode or a display. It just adds to the figure, and that's the sign of good accessories. Really, this is the perfect counterpart to the amazing Yamaguchi Arkham Knight. They just peanut butter and jelly. Or maybe you're just a fan of super, is super the right term to use when it comes to Revoltech? Ultra articulated, galactic scaled articulated Batman figures. If you're into that, there you go. But I think my favorite reveal this week is the McFarlane Toys DC Retro, The New Adventures of Batman. I know they're not the most articulated, and there's a softness to the sculpt, and those crotches aren't the prettiest I've ever seen, but that's the point. Nostalgia, vintage toy 70s goodness. It's not a perfect translation of vintage toys, it's more like a modern interpretation, but the feeling is still there. Even the intense reuse of the Batman 66 molds is very vintagey feeling. And really, what else you gonna do with the Batman 66 tooling? If that gets me some Filmation style action figures, more power to them. Because I love a light blue Batman with the forehead shading. And it's not even a conscious like. It's something deep within that appeals to my base instincts. Just, wait, I'm not actively searching for one, but when one pops up, add some recognizable cartoon flavor and, oh, yeah. The new head captures the fun of those days, but there's also like a hint, a teeny tiny glimmer of mystery, maybe even danger, intenseness, something. You know what I mean? Look, stare deep. Look closely. Just, Robin's okay for the most part. The logo is unmistakable, and that's where my eyes are drawn. But then I go up to the head, and the face is okay. It's the hair. It just looks like a lump of putty stuck on top, but not down where it should be. I'm okay with the hair being, well, non-existent detail-wise, but how high it is really just punches me right in the side of the face. Not really hard, not knocking me down, but it... Did you just hit me? I see a seam, so maybe it's possible to remove that and then shave the skull down a bit, put it back on, get it into the correct position. And then I would like this a lot more. Batgirl's head is a little harder to distinguish from the 66 version. The hair is very, very similar, but then you get to the face, that mouth is definitely different. McFarlane Toys face paints have come a long way over the past few years, but getting close up here, you can still see that there's work to be done. The lipstick is off because you flip the package over and look at the digital render, you can see that she's supposed to have a playful little smirk, and that doesn't really come across on the action figure itself. Riddler! Did I forget somewhere that Riddler wore pink at some point in his career? Google tells me that this was just in the opening sequence, the opening credits of the cartoon. So maybe that's where I missed it? This being a one-off and being an homage to something inspired by, it's not bad. I think with the head not looking like Riddler either, he's got the hair and everything, it's almost like I think of this as a fake Riddler, which makes me want him more because he can go on the shelf with a Riddler. Collector brain, justifying all your purchases. My favorite is the Joker though, which surprises none of y'all, right? It's the Joker, but it's not just because of that. Look at that head sculpt. Whew, if that doesn't tug at any nostalgia strings, then you're too young. This makes me want to just sit down in front of a TV and just stare up at it for a while. Maybe a tray with cereal, drink, or brown sugar and cinnamon Pop-Tarts. The best Pop-Tarts, don't let anybody tell you any different. and just watch some cartoons intently for hours, which I don't get to do anymore once you become an adult. But that's what this brings here. Joker may be my favorite, but the most surprising was Commissioner Gordon, along with Batmite. Look at this. It does reuse the Joker body with a new overlay, but the head, oh, well, okay. Commissioner Gordon being in this series at all is a big surprise, but then the head has some extra detail. Look at Robin's hair. Now look at Gordon's hair. What? Hey. But that also makes him compatible with other, like if you wanted to take him and leave him on the New Adventures of Batman shelf, perfectly fine. But you can also transplant him over to any other shelf that you want that you need some police presence on. It was unexpected, but very welcome. I guess that's the best way to put it. Batmite looking all retro as hell. Yeah, he's a plastic slug, but again, the articulation in this whole series is dumbed down a bit, or a whole lot. But again, that's the style. They're going for a retro vintage feel. I will say that I get super disappointed when I mess with these figures because of the lack of ankles. I pray to the toy gods that these would at least get hinges down there. That would open up so many poses. Well, okay, not double knee crazy, forward-facing pin, rocker, ankles, ball, hip posability, but more posability than they have right now. Not to mention stability, the ability to slightly tweak the stance back and forth would help immensely. Because we already know Robin's gonna be a bear to stand up, right? We already know that you have to kind of pelvic thrust him to change his center of gravity, to keep him from falling out of the display constantly. This is that. These are those. We are us. And we're gonna buy what we want. I'm getting these. You get what you want. Now I'm over here daydreaming about Scooby-Doo figures in this scale and style. That would be damn sweet to go along with these Batman figures. If you're interested in these or some of the other things that went up for pre-order, the links are all in the description. And that's what I got this week. Not a whole lot, but that was to be expected. It's the holidays. But it was enough to take the edge off, you know? Talking toys is just, it's the best. Especially after an unexpectedly crazy week. I didn't think it was gonna be that big a deal, you know? It's just a change of scenery, but it was almost overwhelming, but in the best way possible, because you know me, I'm a sunny side of life kind of guy. I try to put positive energy out into the world, and I am now a huge believer of what you give is what you get, because all that positivity has been returned to me tenfold. If more than that, the overall love that I've received over the past week is amazing. So much support. So thank you. I really do appreciate each of y'all, because this was scary. Like I said, I didn't think it was going to be that big a deal, but it was still nerve-wracking. It was like, do I do this? I mean, sure, let's try it. Saying that, I didn't really have a plan afterwards, so I've spent the last week kind of putting things together. I talked about it at the first. I'm not settled on fonts and music and background and everything else quite yet. I'm working on it. I'm bringing stuff together, but I'm kind of liking the direction it's going, you know, that slight flavor change. You probably noticed that I've been posting some recent videos that you may have already seen. It's kind of a year-end Robo's Choice. Now that's what I call Robo selection. It's only going to be this week and next week. And then I'm going to kick into some of those series. Like Playday, that's going to continue. The Tales from the Tubs, that's going to continue. Especially after 2 episodes. So I'm going to post those here, and then it will go on. And then, yes, the weekly in some form will continue. I have to talk toys or I will explode. I absolutely love this. It's in my DNA. In fact, my wife likes to tell this story. I was in the emergency one time with a kidney stone so bad that they had to morphine me up. It was like, and I was in and out of consciousness. But apparently at some point I was talking about Jubilee having a yellow jacket, and I needed to find this kind of paint because we didn't have a Jubilee at that time. So even when I am out of my mind, I'm still thinking about toys. You see the videos of people coming out of surgeries and stuff and talking crazy and everything. That's my crazy talk. Action figures. So I will be doing this as long as humanly possible, as long as I am able to get in front of a camera and do it. And even if I'm not in front of a camera, you've met me at shows. If you've been at a con, we're talking toys. I'm gonna try to sprinkle in new things as time goes on, but there will always be this. But since I am starting all the way over from scratch, I have reopened my personal Patreon. Oh shit, this is where Robo starts pushing his Patreon. No, if you feel like you want to support the channel or get a little exclusive content, since I'm focusing on just YouTube and that now, I've been posting over there every day, like behind the scenes, or there's a picture of this that people don't see all the time, or this is upcoming, or choose a font or a color, or hey, what you guys think of this? You think this will work? Especially this week where I'm just like, what am I gonna do for this video? But if you don't feel like that, that's fine. No obligation. The main videos will still show up on the channel just a day after Patreon. So come on back next week. We'll talk more action figures on the rewind. And yes, I know I say it rewind. That's one of those things that's ingrained in the membrane. Magneto. Nope, it's Magneto. Paladin. Paladin. McDonald's. Rewind. Nope. This is the rewind. We talk toys.